Now, Michael Jordan, many of them know him as the greatest basketball player who ever lived. There's a big debate. Is it LeBron? Is it Michael? All the smart people will say Michael, but that's for another time, another discussion. But Michael Jordan was a phenomenal basketball player. And here's why. Because it was said about him that he would never be outworked on the practice court. He would never be outworked during practice or any other time by any other player. Look, he never would have played, if it wasn't for his practice, he never would have played for the University of North Carolina. He would have never played for the Chicago Bulls. He would have never been able to go to 6 finals and win each one of them. It was because of his practice. Now, many people don't know this about me, but growing up in junior high and high school, I grew up with a very severe phobia of public speaking. And all through junior high and all through high school, I would do everything I could to get out of any oral presentation. You know, write an essay, stand up in front of the class, and just read it. I would do everything I possibly could to never be there or present or figure it out. Just wouldn't. And then there's those times when I just couldn't get out of it. Man, those were horrific experiences for me. I would stumble over my words, and my hands would shake as I held the paper or held on to the podium. And I would sweat profusely. I couldn't gather my thoughts. And that fear was so real. Now, anyone can guess that's not a good thing to be afraid of as a pastor. I mean, that's bad. But that was my life. That's who I was. However, I can stand before you primarily today. I can stand before you today primarily because of 3 reasons. And the first one is this, is that because I practiced. I've leaned into it. I know God's calling on my life, and I know what that means. And so I leaned into that. I was trusting God, and I began to practice and practice. I took speech classes in college. Like, I worked at it. I had to work at it. And it doesn't come easy, and it didn't come easy. I'm still working on it. And guess what? Practice is part of the process. Practice allows us to be prepared. And what we practice, we become. So here's my question. What areas of your faith do you need to practice? Maybe it's chair time. Maybe you need to do a little more practice of chair time. Like set a schedule. I don't know what it is for you. Maybe it's praying. Maybe you need to practice the discipline of prayer. Talking to God and listening to God. Maybe it's practicing listening to the leading of the Holy Spirit. Or practicing obedience to the leading of the Holy Spirit. I don't know what it is for you. Maybe it's the practice of grace and mercy and kindness to those that maybe you and I have deemed undeserving. I don't know, but the list could go on, and I'm pretty sure if we sit for a moment and we evaluate our process and look at ourselves, we will all come up with a list of things that we need to practice in our faith. Our process is an opportunity for you and me to practice at our faith. Practice will prepare us for the future, prepare us for what God has waiting for us, for what is to come, for what God has purposed you for. Practice is what you will become. What you practice, what you become. God has something waiting for you. God has something coming for you. Will you be prepared? And are you practicing?